In contemporary philosophy, the principal areas of inquiry are epistemology, metaphysics, logic, ethics, aesthetics, the philosophy of mind, the philosophy of language, politics. The history of debates in these areas of inquiry and philosophical examination of the assumption, the methods, and claims of other fields of inquiry in science and social science. Metaphysics is an inquiry into the nature of reality and existence. What exists and what is its nature? What is existence? What are the most fundamental kinds of being? Are there different kinds of existence or existing things? Do abstract entities outside space and time, such as numbers and universals, exist in addition to concrete things in space and time, such as trees and stones? Do supernatural entities, such as God, exist in addition to the natural realm? Is reality one thing or many things? If humans are wholly part of the natural causal order of the universe, can there be such a thing as free will? Metaphysics and epistemology are central to philosophy as a whole. They are, as it were, the physics and chemistry of philosophy. Understanding the problems and questions in these two inquiries is basic to discussion in all other areas of philosophy. Here are some sample questions in metaphysics. Do individuals have essence, that is, cluster of properties that they must possess in order to exist as themselves at all? Is there more to a law of nature than its universal truth? Does the world itself possess a causal structure, or is that structure something that the mind imposes in order to make sense of the world? Does every event have a cause? Does the universe exist for a purpose? Must space have three dimensions? Must time be linear? Could there be time travel? What is the relationship between mind and body? How does consciousness relate to the working of mere matter? Are the facts of consciousness beyond the reach of science? Are persons to be identified with their physical bodies or with stream of consciousness? Is there an objective fact of the matter as to what it is like to be a bat or any other kind of sentient creature, even if it is in principle inaccessible to us? Could there be reincarnation, or at least some kind of survival of soul or individual consciousness after bodily death? Epistemology, or theory of knowledge, is inquiry into the nature of knowledge and how it is acquired. It investigates the distinction between knowledge, belief, and opinion, seek to ascertain the conditions under which a claim to know something is justified, and examines and offers responses to skeptical challenges to knowledge. It questions about different kinds of knowledge, its scope and limits, its proper object, its sources, and its justification. We ask questions in epistemology like this. Could there be truths we could not know? Could we be systematically deceived or hallucinating in all our experiences? Are there any beliefs that are immune to revision in the light of experience? Are any statements true solely by virtue of what they mean? What is special about knowledge? What distinguishes knowledge from true belief? Are there limits to what we can know? Is our knowledge of the external world based wholly on our sensory perception? Is it possible to organize our knowledge in a logical way with the propositions that are more certain, making up a firm foundation by following strictly logical or other inferential methods? Are the facts of subjectivity and consciousness inaccessible to the methods of objective science? Can reason be naturalized? Is there a single correct scientific method? Ethics is inquiry into the concepts and theories of what is good, of right and wrong, of moral choice and action. Ethics serves to denote two separable matters: examination of ethical concepts and reasoning, that is more precisely described as metaethics, an examination of normative moralities which seek to tell us how to live and act. But the word ethics also, though relatedly, denotes the outlook and attitudes of the individual or organization regarding their values, how they act and how they see themselves. This is easier to grasp when we note the etymologies of the terms. Ethics comes from the Greek ethos, meaning character, whereas morals derives from the Latin mos, plural mores, which means custom and even etiquette. Morality, accordingly, is about our actions, duties, and obligations, whereas ethics is about what sort of person one is. And although the two are obviously connected, they are equally obviously distinct. Here are some of the questions it raises. Are there moral facts in the world, or is morality just an expression of subjective opinions? Is the goodness or badness of an action something that is based on or determined by only what turn out to be the consequences of the action, regardless of whether the agent intended them? Or does the action moral status depend on the agent's intention, even if the action fails to accomplish them? Do we create our values through our actions, or are our values things that we can excogitate and that will or ought then to guide and constrain our actions? Are there any basic principles about good and bad from which one could work out which actions would be good and which would be bad? Are our moral codes based on emotions or on reason, or perhaps on a combination of both? How do moral judgments motivate one to act? Can they? Are morals absolute, or might they be culturally relative? Might they be attuned to or appropriate for only a particular era or place or phase of one's life or a stage of technological development? What creatures merit our moral concern? Only human beings? Only those human beings who are into their second trimester? Only those human beings who have been born? Or should the circle of concern be widened to include not only human beings but also all primates or all mammals or all vertebrates or all creatures with rudimentary nervous system? Aesthetics is inquiry into art and beauty. What is art? Is beauty an objective property of things natural or man-made? Or is it subjective, existing in the eye of the beholder? Can something be aesthetically valuable whether or not it is beautiful, or whether or not it is a work of art? Are the aesthetic values of material things, a landscape, a sunset, a face, different from those we attribute to artifacts, a painting, a poem, a piece of music? Logic is the science of valid and sound reasoning. It is the journal instrument of philosophy as mathematics is in science. It is the study of valid reasoning, that is transition in thought that aim to preserve truth from their premises or starting points to their conclusions or end point. The premises and the conclusions are truth bearer, declarative sentences or statements or propositions. It raises questions like this. What makes an argument from premises to a conclusion valid? Is there a single correct system of logic? Can every valid argument be compellingly proved? How do scientific hypotheses relate to observational evidence? Can all mathematical truths be proved from suitably chosen first principles? Is it possible to prove mathematically that mathematics is constant? For example, free from internal contradiction.